Today we are going to be tackling the second part of harnessing our strength, which is knowing your weakness. To be able to do positive, you must know what you do negatively. So if I am not somebody who likes smiling, and I want smiling to become my trait, I have to acknowledge that I don't like smiling. And that way I can put effort into smiling so that it becomes one of the best parts of me. All right. So remember, we are talking about our personalities, us as people, because whatever we do in our bodies, in our lives, whatever we bring ourselves up to is what ultimately affects the rest of the world and affects our life, our decisions, where we go, who we meet, who we associate with, and whether at work we move up or down. All those things are affected by our personal traits, which comes into strengths and weaknesses. So you must know what your weakness is so that you avoid it and then be able to build your strengths, or know your weaknesses so that you can work on them so that they also become strengths. Let's go right ahead. We have weaknesses, and we would call these ones the personal weaknesses. And what we know is that they can be mental, physical, or emotional. Any of these weaknesses. They can be mental, they can be physical, they can be emotional. Meaning it may have to do with your brain, it may have to do with your physique, or it may have to do with your feelings. Any of these can be a weakness. All right, now, most of these weaknesses prevent us from fulfilling our dreams, our goals, and any potential we have in life can easily be marred by these weaknesses we have. And if we don't pay attention to them and work on them, no matter what kind of strengths you have, suddenly your weaknesses can come in and affect the strengths and make it complicated. They can also prevent you from achieving success. You know, you can be on your way to becoming one of the best something, and then one day, one of your weaknesses just shows up. You tell a little lie. You take extra change that was not yours. You burst out in anger. Something that just comes and mars everything that you worked for. So that's why we have to know our weaknesses so that we can address them and make sure that they are not affecting all that we've done to build our strength and to put them out there. Weaknesses can affect your career, your personal, your social life. That's what I've said. It can be at work that your weakness affects you. It can be you that your weakness affects, and it can even have effect on the people around you such that they do not want to associate with you anymore. And since we don't want that, let's learn how to identify our weaknesses. 10 ways that we can identify our personal weaknesses. And once we identify them, the choice is ours to either decide to suppress them and make them non-existent, or to work on them and then make them become part of our strengths. That choice lies with you. So as we talk about it, make the decision. Would you rather do away with it, or would you rather build on it so that it becomes a strength for you? The first thing we do, or the first way to identify what is a personal weakness, is that you should mind the way you think. Mind the way you think. People do not know it, but our minds are powerful tools. The Bible says that be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind. Be transformed by the renewing of your mind. It means that the only way we can see change, the only way we can see a transformation, the only way we can see a turnaround is if you change the way you think. You may have a lot of potential, but your thinking puts you down. You may have a lot of potential, but your thinking makes you think that you don't deserve what you have. You don't deserve to be promoted. You don't deserve to be the best businesswoman. You don't deserve to be the best lady in the workplace, the best guy in the workplace, the best student at school. Your thinking, you must watch it. A thought is an experience that has been conditioned to take place within the mind to respond to stimulus from external and internal sources. What this means is that your thought is something you experience, and it is conditioned. The thoughts you begin to think when you are placed in a certain situation, whether it is from inside or from outside. So let's assume that you just wake up from sleep. You are probably not thinking about food. But once one of your sisters, one of your brothers, your husband, your wife, your friends, your roommate comes by with a sandwich immediately your thoughts begin to process, we are hungry. We are hungry. And once the brain begins to think we are hungry, it affects the whole of the body, begins to look for food, goes to the kitchen, goes to the roadside, begins to prepare something because of the situation that was seen. Your thought processes are, we are hungry. That is why you must watch the way you think. Because the way you think can actually make your weaknesses look so big when actually they are so small. You know, so watch the way you think. Be aware of what you think about. Make a conscious effort to think, to assess what you think about. Make a conscious effort to always see optimism, not pessimism, in a situation, if you know what I mean. Let your mind be controlled by you and not your mind controlling you. Let me repeat that. Don't let your mind control you, you control your mind. So you decide what you want to think, you decide what you allow to be thought about, you decide in any situation which place you want to focus on and think about. I don't know if I'm making myself clear. By watching your thoughts, you can actually identify which ones are negative and which are going to pull down your strength and going to magnify your weaknesses. It makes it easier for you to decide, okay, today I'm not thinking about the fact that I don't have money. I'm going to be thinking about the fact that in spite of the fact that I don't have money, I have a brain that can bring up ideas and can help me to make money that I'm looking for. So we will have two people. One is focusing on the fact that they don't have money, and we have another person who is focusing on the fact that I can use this knowledge I have to make money. You see the difference? One is going to be a strength, one is going to be a weakness. So be careful how you think. Watch the way you think. Watch the things you think about. Watch the things you open yourself to, the situations you open yourself to, so that you do not think negatively. And that is the first way on how you can identify your weakness. The second one is practice self-awareness. What does it mean? It means you know yourself and you know your environment. That's all. Practice knowing you and your reactions in certain environments. You know, if you are able to put these two together, knowing what you would do in this kind of environment, it takes away almost, in fact, I can clearly say that it can erase almost 70% of your weaknesses. Knowing you and knowing how you would behave in a certain environment, in a certain situation, it erases 70% of your trouble. It may seem impossible to separate them, but you will learn about when I say learn about, let me try and put it in a way that we can understand. I know that let me put it practically. I'm on a diet, and I know that if I go to Burger King or KFC, I'll be tempted to have a double whopper. What do I do? At the time that I'm having my diet, my weakness is a double whopper meal. What do? I avoid KFC at all costs. My sisters and brothers, this is not the time to be Superman or Superwoman, Catwoman or Wonder Woman or Thor in this process. You are trying to diet. There is no need for you to be at Burger King trying to brave it out and tell yourself that if I can sit here and not eat the burger, I would have conquered my weakness. There is no point doing that, my sisters and brothers. You are on a diet. That is not a good place for you to go. Avoid it. You know that when you are out with friends, there's a tendency for you to stay out all night instead of going back to do your assignment. When you have assignments, don't go out. That's what I mean by knowing yourself and knowing your environment and knowing your reaction in environments. We have people who are so easily influenced by friends. I would advise those people to have less friends and to have friends that are good at pushing you, at encouraging you, because you are so affected by what the friends say, because you are so into peer pressure affects you. It would be better for you to pick people who would give you good peer pressure and not bad peer pressure. So it means you know yourself, you know the situation, you know what will happen if you put yourself in that situation. So you make sure that you know you don't put yourself there to tempt yourself. Don't put yourself there to tempt yourself. There are so many examples I can give. you know. So don't put yourself in the situation that tempts you and moves you out of your strength into your weakness. All right, let's go to number 3. Number 3 says, take a clear look at the people you relate with generally.